welcome everyone. My name is Tisma. My pronouns are she, her. And the reason why I use my pronoun is to make sure that people feel safe to share theirs. So when you are introducing yourself, please know that this is a safe space. We're a positive, safe space, and you can share if you feel comfortable. As well as if I do say your name incorrectly, please correct me. As a newcomer to Canada myself, or somebody who came here a little bit later in life, people always struggle saying my name. So I always like to make sure that I give space to make sure I pronounce everyone's name properly. But the organization I work for is License to Learn. License to Learn is historically a peer mentoring and tutorship program. However, or tutoring program. However, we've pivoted throughout COVID to provide these leadership workshops and work with community partners such as FCG and Victoria here to provide these learning opportunities for youth and adults. So I like to start off with a land acknowledgement. And why I do a land acknowledgement is because as somebody who immigrated here, or my parents had immigrated here, I do recognize that this land was occupied prior to me coming here. So as a settler, we are grateful for the opportunities to meet here on the traditional territories and are thankful to all the generations of people who have cared for the land we are situated upon. In particular, we acknowledge the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabeg Nation, and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We also recognize the contributions of Métis, Inuit, and other Indigenous peoples in strengthening and building our communities across Turtle Island. And for you folks who may not know, Canada was a term that was given by the colonizers. However, this land was called Turtle Island. Yeah, and if you're ever interested in learning about the land you're currently on, you can go to nativeland.ca and you can actually find out your exact address, which is really cool. And I'll also put that in the chat for you folks. So a bit of our peer tutoring program, just to give a little background. The free peer tutoring and mentorship initiative, youth are trained as tutors and by experienced educators, and they learn about learning strategies such as different learning styles. So we look at differential learning and multiple intelligences. So recognizing that, yeah, some people are good at English, some people are good at math, and it's both great. And just because you're good at one and not so good at the other, it doesn't mean you're dumb and doesn't mean you're not intelligent. It just means you have a different intelligence. And we also focus on empathy, equity, leadership, mentorship, and responsible citizenship. So I have an icebreaker because I'm going to talk a lot during the session, but I like my sessions to be interactive and I want to hear from you folks because you all have experiences and we all have areas of expertise, right? So what is one thing you wish somebody told you about before coming to Canada? So what is one piece of advice or something that someone had told you prior to you coming to Canada? Does anyone want to go first? Maybe I'll start it off. So before I came back to Canada, so I was born here and then taken back home and then I came back. But before coming back, I wish they told me that not everybody is comfortable with different foods. Like I wish they had told me that not everybody has drinking camel's milk. I got bullied a lot in school. So I wish somebody had told me that here we drink cow's milk. Like that's the #1 milk that we drink. So I wish somebody had told me that cow's milk is what people drink in Canada. Anybody else? If you want to say your name. Nobody wants to go?
Yeah, maybe I can go. Maybe I wish that somebody told me that it's really winter here is not a joke. And it's a real winter, like not in our country back home. It's a real one.
Thank you so much for sharing. And what's your name?
My name is Zain.
Nina, welcome.
Thank you.
And yeah, winter here is pretty rough. Canada especially. Anybody else? Oh, yeah.
My name is Drew. I came from Ethiopia. I had the information of the weather of the Canada It's very stranger for me nowadays. I don't have any information about the winter. That's why.
Winter?
Yeah.
Yeah, people tend to not like they downplay how bad our winter's not bad, but like how tough and like of a
How?
culture shock our winter is. It's cold
Yeah.
and the wind is strong. But thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
I want to add something. I bought from my home country some spices. I wish that somebody told me that everything is here. You can find it in the local market. No need to carry special spices.
Yeah, that's a really good. I've never heard that in a session, but yeah, sometimes we bring things from back home because we're so afraid that it's not going to be here. But then we come here and we find that we have a lot, especially Toronto is very diverse and we have like amazing small little markets where you can find all of your needs. Yeah, thank you so much. Anybody else want to share? Or are we feeling a little shy? Okay. We can move on. And if you folks feel comfortable sharing anytime throughout the session, we'll just stop and go back to this page. So we're going to start off this talking about an introductory paragraph. So today we are talking about essays. So to start an essay, does everyone know what the introductory paragraph is? Right?
It's maybe 2 lines about a general topic.
Yes.
So
So
not more than 2 lines.
it should be, so back like historically or traditionally, it has been 2 lines. However, we're seeing people move towards the introductory paragraph being more lines. So we're looking at 3 to 4 lines. And in those 3 to 4 lines, to have a really good essay, you need something that grabs your attention. So we call it an attention getter. Because essays can be quite boring. Think of somebody reading your essay, and especially a teacher, they're probably reading 30 people's essays. So we want to put something that grabs their attention. And then we want to follow that up with a thesis statement. So in this sentence or this 1 to 2 sentences, you want to explain and you want the reader to understand what you're going to talk about in the essay. So let's do an example. If I'm going to talk about apples, right? So let's talk about apples. What is something that I can say that's an attention getter for apples?
Maybe you can speak in general about fruits, how it's important, vitamins, an apple a day. Sorry, it's my doctor. An apple a day keep you away from a doctor. Any general, no specific information. You can speak one of the fruits that is most planted here in Canada is apple, and you can find it as a good. Anything I don't think of the specific piece of information, but in general, you can speak about fruits, and the second paragraph may be about apple. How it's important to our health and all that.
That's perfect. Exactly. Something that would grab your attention. If you picked up an essay and somebody said an apple a day keeps the doctor away, you're going to keep reading that essay and you're going to be excited to read that essay because it grabs your attention. If you start off with, in this essay, we're going to talk about apples already they don't want to listen. And we would grab their attention and we would say apple a day keeps doctor away. And then we would follow up with apples are good for your health. And then we would list ways in which they're good for your health. Great job. So I gave an example of COVID. So masks and gloves at grocery stores, this is the new normal. COVID-19 pandemic has affected everyone differently and changed the way we interact. With the implementation of additional in-person youth programming, we can recover from COVID-19 together. So where do you think is the attention getter? Masks and gloves at grocery stores. This is the new normal. COVID-19 pandemic has affected everyone differently and changed the way we interact. With the implementation of additional in-person youth programming, we can recover from COVID-19 together. What in that sentence grabs you?
The new norm.
Okay, perfect. The new norm. Yes. Because what does that mean? What is the new normal? So already you're kind of intrigued. Even if you're not interested in COVID-19 in general, I know we're all sick of hearing about COVID-19. This is something that's going to grab your attention because it means, oh, the new normal. What is normal? Because we're always looking to define that. Okay. And then the thesis statement would be with the implementation. So with making more programming for youth, we can recover from COVID-19 together. So that would be my thesis. And then in the next couple of sentences or paragraphs, I would talk more about exact ways in which we could support youth or have more programming. So in the body paragraph, you want this to support the main ideas of the thesis. You want it to work in 3 ways. And this you can break down into 3 sentences. 1, make the argument. So what is exactly you want to talk about in this paragraph? So if we're talking about COVID-19, what programming do you think would support youth in recovering from COVID-19? Then you would go into more detail. How would this look? How many youth would be a part of this program? What can we do? What will it actually accomplish? Will it help them get jobs? Will it help them become friends with other youth? And then this is when you give evidence. Has anybody ever given evidence before?
You mean evidence about this, the body of the paragraph of the COVID?
So I'll give you an example and anybody can join in. Is Canada cold? What do we think?
Statistics, maybe.
So if we were to say Canada is cold, if you wanted to make that argument that Canada is cold, so your argument would be Canada is a cold country. How would you explain that? Why is Canada cold? How is Canada cold?
Maybe we can add the second paragraph, the rates about the temperature degrees in certain cities.
Yeah, measure the degrees in different cities. So you want to give evidence. Sometimes evidence is, they call it qualitative, which is more of shared experiences. So a qualitative answer would be, the evidence you would give is, I've been in Canada and I've had to, shovel snow and, falling. Everybody slips during winter. You're not alone. We all slip during winter at least once. The giving those type of answers, that's a qualitative answer, where quantitative is more of numbers. So giving those degrees, giving the temperatures, giving kind of how many people go to the hospital for, colds and flus, kind of like that, or frostburn. Do folks kind of understand? Do we want to try an example? Does anyone want to try? Sylvia, do you want to try? I see your smile. Okay, let's try. So give me either a qualitative or quantitative paragraph about why Canada is either cold or not cold.
According to the way people dress these days, it is kind of okay, an example that Canada is a cold country. People have changed the way they dress so far. Everyone is covered up, because of the winter.
Yes, exactly. So that's a qualitative answer. So Canada is cold because folks are dressing differently for the weather. So why would people put on more jackets if it was warm? So therefore, and then your conclusion paragraph, you could be like, therefore, Canada is cold.
All
Good
right.
job. Dia, do you want to try? Or D, sorry, D and Zane?
Yeah, at the same example you mean, or maybe different? I don't know.
How about I give you a different one? Let's do. Oh, this is one especially for you, D.
Okay.
Is smoking good or bad?
Yeah, I can make the second paragraph about the data about the mortality rate for the smokers. Maybe this helped to show how it's dangerous when I show the data or the statistics that show that the smoking have a lot of dangerous or a risk for death or for diseases or for cancers or for tumors and such. So
Yeah, that's perfect. So that was amazing. So we are looking at the quantitative on that one. So smoking is bad. Why? Let's look at the mortality rate. Let's look at the effects it has on individuals' health. Maybe even looking at how it affects women who are pregnant.
yeah,
And in conclusion, that's your evidence. And then you would go into explanation and maybe even, for example, share stories of people who have become smokers and the effect they have on their life now.
or sharing, yes, someone famous he did because of smoking, or maybe only pictures.
Pictures as well. So most essays don't require photos. However, you can add that in your references. So we'll talk a bit about that later, but whenever you're stating information in these paragraphs and giving evidence, you always want to state where you got it from. Then it's plagiarism. And plagiarism is similar to stealing. It's just intellectual property. So stealing people's ideas. And then I know, Meskin,
Yes.
do you want to?
I just want to give a qualitative example why Canada is very cold.
Yes.
It could be also quantitative. In Canada, almost every house needs to have heaters. For the house, for every house, unless they have heater, it will be very difficult to live. So this shows that Canada is very cold. Because in my country, I don't need heater. I don't need air conditioner. Because the weather, either winter or summer, there is no big difference of the temperature. While I see here, from 10 degree in the summer, 15 degree or 20, during winter, it's below 0. So because of this big difference in the temperature, every house needs to have a heater in the winter. So Canada is very cold.
That is a great answer. Perfect. Not only did you relate it to Canada, you also did a comparison. So you just compared and contrast, and that's amazing in essays. So what you did is you said, Canada is cold because we have a heater. So why does that make it cold? Because in the country I live in, which has very mild temperature, that's usually warm, we do not have heaters in the house. But in Canada, you must have a heater. So that's why Canada is cold. That's a perfect way to write a body paragraph. Great job. So we'll move on. So this would be 3 paragraphs. So you would want to have 3 identified evidences or arguments. So we've already started. Canada cold is because we have heaters. Canada is cold because we have to wear jackets and we have to wear mittens. Canada is cold because we fall and there's snow on the ground, and snow can only be created in cold weathers, as well as looking at the temperature. Canada is cold because the temperature is negatives. And we know that for anything to freeze, it needs to be below 0. Great job. And we did it together. So the conclusion paragraph. So your conclusion paragraph would be summarizing everything that you talked about. So it would be pulling on those 3 cases and restating them. So we talked about how Canada is cold because you have to have a heater. It's cold because the temperature. It's cold because people have to wear gloves and mittens and jackets. So this is when you would put that back, and then you would then have an opinion, a prediction, or a solution to the problem. So your opinion could be Canada will just keep getting colder because of climate change. So global warming, Canada will get colder or Canada will get hotter. You can also make predictions that maybe people will be less motivated to immigrate to Canada if they knew how cold it was. Would you folks still come to Canada if you knew how cold it was? Probably. Canada's pretty cool. It's cold, but it's a pretty cool country. Yes.
I was saying freezing. It's not cold. It's freezing. Especially for me, I came from a warm country, you know.
Definitely. I would take Kenyan weather over Canada any day. But my job is here, so I have to stay here. But that is true. I don't think folks recognize how cold it is in Canada. But that's how you would conclude your paragraph. So I would want somebody who wants to try concluding the paragraph.
For us, is our first winter. And today, it's snow. We look this for us, it's amazing because it's first time. Everybody say with the time you don't, it's the same, you change your opinion, but now for us, our first winter, it's beautiful for us, no?
You know what? That's a great way to look at it. I don't think I've ever seen it like that, but the snow is, I'm sure, similar to how Annie and Sebastian said, when you first come to Canada, the snow, if you've never seen snow before, it is cool, you know, especially when it's fluffy and you can pick it up. And if you've ever made a snowman, I remember as a kid, I loved making a snowman. It's fun. But yeah, the longer you stay in Canada, the less and less you like the snow. But it is fun at the beginning. So does anybody want to try concluding? Annie and Sebastian, do you want to try concluding why Canada is cold?
Why Canada is cold? This is the question. Okay.
Yeah. So how would you conclude it? So you would start off with, in conclusion, Canada is cold because, and then you'd restate some of the sentences.
Okay, Canada is cold because it's on the north of the planet. No, it's for that it's a natural process. No, but yeah, that's it. Because you know the world have two hemispheres. Yeah, the south and the north. In the middle is tropical area. If you go to the north or the south, is colder than in the middle of the world. It's a natural. You know, it's about. Exactly, Canada is cold because if you stay close to the north, the sunlight, it's about the distance between the world and the sun. The more north is more distance.
That wasn't a conclusion. However, that was a great body paragraph. So Canada is cold because one, that's both qualitative and quantitative, because when you're talking about distance, it's quantitative, so it is a numbers. So the sun is the furthest from the earth from Canada because we're so up high north, as well as when we're looking at the equator, we're above the equator line, right? So we're not with the warm tropical weather, we are more in the drier climate and the colder climate. Great job. So now we have a couple of arguments. Does anyone want to try concluding? Yes. Espen?
Okay. If I want to conclude this, especially if I want to tell to people who plan to come to Canada, my conclusion will be Canada is a beautiful country with nice government and very good people, and has good weather in the summer. However, the winter is very cold. People who want to come to Canada, they need to know that the temperature is very cold and it is because of the nature. And they need to have good clothes that can protect them from this very cold. And I want to conclude that electricity in Canada should be stable, should be constant, should not be interrupted to keep houses warm.
Perfect. Do you see, everyone, what Mesfin did? What he did was not only summarize what we've talked about, but he also gave solutions and opinions. Opinion in, when you come to Canada, you should have warm clothes. You should be ready to be putting on like jackets and mittens, as well as a solution to the problem. We should have uninterrupted heating in the house. Because Canada is so cold, we should have access to stable houses with heating and everything. If you're looking at the homeless community, you want them to be in housing because it is so cold. That's a great solution. Does anyone else want to try? Want to practice?
Yes, I can say like this, the conclusion paragraph. So I will start by the end. Canada may be a cold or extreme cold in some regions, but you can find the warm clothes, as my colleague said, and the people here in this cold weather have warm feelings that makes you warm, that makes you, yes, warm feelings and warm clothes that makes you warm in this cold weather.
So yes, Canada is cold, but also looking at the bright side, Canada is not cold all the time. If you've been here during the summer, you know that we get a little bit hot too. Maybe not as hot as, for example, Palestine or Kenya or Morocco or even Ethiopia, but we still get warm weather. So yes, it's cold, but it's not always cold, as well as you can find cities that are a little bit more warmer. So for example, Vancouver doesn't really get snow. It's pretty like stable weather, but you should also feel comfortable with putting on these jackets to keep yourself warm. So there is a solution. You don't have to freeze. Great job. Okay. So just to kind of talk a little bit about the structuring of a paragraph, I'm going to do it similar to this way. And if you folks kind of look at it, it goes in a zigzag. So it goes in a Z. So you want to start off with your intro. So your intro is where you introduce your topic and engage your reader. This is where you would include your thesis statement. So kind of putting your statement out there, what you're going to talk about for the whole essay. Then your body paragraph should be 2 to 3 paragraphs that will go into detail about your thesis and provide evidence to support your claims. So that's when you say again what your thesis is and you talk about and you give evidence. Your conclusion. This paragraph completes the essay and summarizes the findings. This is where you would include any solutions to the issue. So in your conclusion essay, it should be, your reader should step back and be like, whoa, that was a good essay. After they read that final line, that's a solution, they should be like, wow, I understand the complete essay. So that's the kind of like, if you think of it as a movie, the intro is the beginning of the movie. It's kind of where they talk about, give some background information about the characters. And then the body would be when things happen. Your conclusion would be the summary. So what happened? What was the solution? So think of it as a movie. As well as references. So whenever you're giving evidence, you should always reference if possible. If you're giving evidence that is qualitative, and that's, so qualitative once again is, what is qualitative? Does anyone remember? So quantitative is numbers, right? When we're talking about degrees, and qualitative is more like stories, experiences when you're sharing information. So Canada is cold because you have to put on a jacket. That is a qualitative thing because you've experienced that. Where Canada is cold, it is a certain amount of degrees. That's quantitative, as well as when you're talking about how far away the sun is from the earth. So whenever you're doing those type of, when you're saying qualitative, so when you're giving stories from your personal life, you don't have to cite it. So you don't have to give a reference to it because it's your life, right? But when you are getting information, for example, off of Google or off of another website, you always want to reference it, or it can be called plagiarism. Has anybody ever heard of plagiarism? Plagiarism is a form of cheating, and it's when you steal intellectual property, which is people's thoughts. So for example, has anybody read Harry Potter? Or what's a book that you've all read? What's a book that you've read? Has anyone ever seen a Superman movie?
Yes.
Superman movie? Okay. So
Just a movie
is-
and favorite movie.
yeah. So if I took the whole Superman movie, I took all the information, all of the characters, and I made my own movie about it, would that be considered plagiarism?
Some people prefer books than movies, and some people prefer movies than books, no? Because it's when you read a book, you can imagine, you can represent in your mind the story, no? But in the movie, it's not how you can imagine. It's just can you watch.
Yep. So with plagiarism, thank you so much for sharing, but with plagiarism, it works both ways. So if you read a book and you take everything you've said from the book and you put it on a paper, even though you wrote it out, even though it's your handwriting, it's considered plagiarism. So for example, I'll give you an example. Sebastian, if I said, and let's say your last name is, we'll go with Apple again. If your full name was Sebastian Apple, if you said, oh, my name is Sebastian Apple and I am from Canada. And I said, my name is Sebastian Apple and I am from Canada. Would that be considered plagiarism?
Yeah, obviously different attitude, no?
Yep.
Different way to express the emotions.
So plagiarism was when you steal somebody else's idea. So in that case, I was plagiarizing your identity. So I was taking your identity. However, if you were to write, so if Sebastian and let's say Annie both wrote an essay, they can't write the same essay because that's considered cheating. They would have to write their own essays. Because if they're writing the same essay, somebody plagiarized from somebody. So either Annie stole from Sebastian or Sebastian stole from Annie. So we don't ever want to plagiarize. And with plagiarism, especially in schools, you can get kicked out of the school. It's very, very serious. And it will show on your record forever. So we don't want to make sure. And ways in which we can make sure, and I will be sending it to Victoria, and I have sites in which you can put in what you wrote, and it will tell you how much of your content is plagiarized. And we don't do it on purpose. Sometimes we just may have heard something and we don't remember. So then we just type it and we thought it was our own idea, but it was actually someone else's. Like, for example, if I was to quote the Martin Luther King, "I have a dream," I didn't make up that speech. If I was to say it's my own speech, that would be plagiarism. So we always want to reference everything that we do. Any questions? No? Are we sure? So do we feel confident writing an essay? Please feel free to ask me as much questions as possible. I also will be sharing some of this information with Victoria in a 1 to 2 pager, so you'll be able to have it for yourselves. Do we want to try to write a really short essay? Just speak a verbal essay? Somebody want to throw a topic out there? Yes, Mesfin?
I have a question about thesis statement. Yeah, should the thesis statement be 1 paragraph, or it can be like 2 paragraphs when we write an essay?
The thesis statement should be 1 sentence.
Only 1 sentence?
Yes, I know. It's very hard to do, but as you go on throughout your education, it will get longer and longer. However, if we're talking about a simple essay, so our like an essay that you'd write for college, your thesis statement should be no more than 2 sentences. 1 sentence preferably, but if you go to 2 sentences, that's okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Do we want to try? We can talk about, Let's talk about something that we all know. How about immigrating to Canada? First, we have to put a question. So we have to come up with a question. So I'll ask the question. Is immigrating to Canada or getting a PR status in Canada easy? Sylvia, you keep looking at me. I think you want to share. Are we feeling shy? We've all immigrated to Canada. So was
Yeah.
it?
Okay, I think I talk about my experience. Yeah. When we talk about to come to Canada, we have hard times, no hard times in our country, but you feel this future, it's impossible, no, because you need to make many steps and many things to do to be possible this idea. But when you arrive here, this is my experience. When you arrive here, you feel how all the community, the society, the government, the NGO, everybody help you, have a good intentions. The people is it's friendly. You receive help in many places from many people. For that, it's hard to come to here, because when you stay far away, when you live far away from Canada, sometimes you think it's impossible, but when you arrive here, it's different, no? Because you receive help and support and advices, and sometimes you have new friends, a new family. It's not too hard. It's possible.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sebastian, for sharing. One, the intro statement. What was the attention getter? Right away when Sebastian said, when you're immigrating to Canada, it's hard, but you're always thinking about the future and you're looking at the future. That grabbed my attention. So that's something that grabbed my attention. So I said, oh, I want to listen. I want to learn more. And then he went into speaking about how in Canada, even though it is hard, look at the positive side. You can make a lot of new friends. You have a lot of community. So you make your own community and you also build your own family and you get a lot of support. So in conclusion, yes, Canada is hard. Immigrating to Canada is hard, but anything is possible. And Canada is a great place. And he talked about how his experience and he really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for sharing. That was a perfect essay. Would you add a few more information when you write it down? Yeah, because essays are usually 3 to 4 pages, but that was the core thing. Thank you so much, Sebastian. Sylvia?
Your question was getting a PR, right?
Yes. So immigrating to Canada or getting a PR status.
Okay. In the first place, immigrating to Canada is not that easy, but when you reach in Canada, it is scary a bit in the beginning. It becomes lonely, but later on, due to the support, the care, the different, what should I call them? The organizations, I get so. We get a lot of support and you feel at home. So it becomes easy. We need to be patient. That's all I can say. But to me, it is easy if you're patient and you don't push yourself so hard.
Great job. So once again, is Canada to immigrate hard? So you answered the question. Yes, it is. It is difficult, but you have a sense of community. You have organizations that are going to help you. You have people who care about you. And with their support, you're able to get it. And once you start to know Canada, you're able to get this support. And you left with your opinion. So your conclusion was beautiful. You concluded in saying, hey, Canada is hard. Yes. But once again, stay positive. You can do this, kind of giving them advice and being like, make those connections, stay in touch with people. That's great advice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and people here are so sweet. I don't know how to say it, but if anyone can really back it up, so far for me, people here are so sweet, honestly.
And you also are all connected to an amazing organization. So FCJ is amazing. And they reached out to me to facilitate this workshop. And I'm so happy I got to be here. Yeah, I know we are coming to the end of the session. But I did want to let you folks know that please stay connected with me. I do work predominantly with youth. So once again, my name is Tusma. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the youth outreach coordinator, but I can definitely support you as well. Let's say you have an essay, which you're all gonna get your PR statuses and we're all gonna be in school, hopefully. If you need any support, please feel free to reach out to me. These are my emails. This is also my work cell phone. And if you have any kids who are interested in getting free tutoring, because I know some of you folks I've seen in the background have some kids and I'd love to meet them. But they can come and do my program as well, and they could get free tutoring. Does anyone have any questions before I hand it off to Victoria?
Thank you, Desma. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And then I'll hand it back to Victoria.
Great.
Thank you, Tusma.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, and especially Tazma for being here and facilitating the session. I definitely learned some new tips about essay writing, and I love the different examples that you used as well to make it clear. Thank you so much for doing that, and for just being here. Thank you, everyone, for participating. I'm going to stop the recording right now.